What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Your friends haven't betrayed you.
Delivered with a nod and a reassuring smile, Velgrin's statement offered a glimmer of hope to her audience. The circumstantial evidence had led the naval officers to fear betrayal, but Velgrin provided a lifeline.
Ruo, what exactly do you mean by that?
The question lingering in everyone's thoughts was posed by the naval minister.
Quite straightforward.
Velgrin replied with a cheerful demeanor.
I believe the Yohma possess the ability to take control of people. Since they've recently entered this world and likely lack significant power, they're gradually accumulating strength by seizing control of individuals. However, due to their limited supply of magicules, which fuel their abilities, it will take a considerable amount of time for your friends to be fully assimilated.
Hope now permeated the room.
So, they're under involuntary control.
If the process is gradual, does that mean there's a chance to rescue them?
How dare they manipulate our warriors? Those cursed Yohma. We must ensure their complete defeat.
We should organize a rescue mission.
Wait. It's not that straightforward.
The hall erupted in noise once again. Many were already accepting Velgrin's explanation. Some wondered about the source of her extensive knowledge about their adversaries, but if she was an emperor's trump card deployed in a critical moment, it seemed reasonable. The call for a rescue mission was made, but everyone quickly settled down as they realized the daunting challenges. The conquering empire had just experienced a pivotal battle that could determine their homeland's fate, resulting in a defeat. Envisioning a successful rescue operation under these circumstances proved difficult. Firstly, there were simply not enough warships remaining in the empire. They had lost 6 carriers, 4 battleships, 4 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, and 18 destroyers. Even if the remaining fleet could be hastily assembled, it would barely reach half of the previous numbers. Even if they managed to deploy all available ships, it would form only a single fleet at best. Sending them on a rescue mission would severely compromise homeland defense.
But all global leaders are aware of the situation. Can't we negotiate a secret truce and unite against the Yohma?
Yes, it's evidence that's the logical course. However, their military situations are chaotic. It's unfeasible.
It's disheartening to witness the feeble resolve of other nations. But we're not in a much better position, are we? We don't even have a comprehensive understanding of our ground forces' activities in Chinese territories.
And a significant number of them have just been lost.
Even if the world's presidents and leaders were to sign a peace treaty now, it wouldn't resolve the issue. If the supposedly loyal militaries continue to act uncontrollably, any declaration of a ceasefire would lack credibility. For a lasting solution, they had to address the Yohma threat first. Even before that, an unspoken concern was creeping into the minds of the audience. What was it?
Do you reckon someone among us has been influenced?
The army minister finally voiced the suspicion, his gaze fixed on the naval participants, revealing his unspoken thoughts.
What? Now you're casting suspicion on us?
No, I didn't imply that. It's just that, based on the report, one can't help but entertain that doubt, can they?
Nonsense. If you're raising that, care to explain why your own army is running rampant in the Chinese fiefdoms?
That.
The conference was veering into dangerous territory. Akira Sakura found it necessary to intervene.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed good news that our brave soldiers are safe. While it's evident they need rescue, can we achieve that by bickering in here all day? As wise as you all are, I'm sure you understand the right course of action.
Yes, Your Majesty, my apologies.
A hush fell over the room. Akira Sakura's dignified demeanor was both refined and commanding, yet to him, it felt like walking a tightrope. He had to reprimand his audience. Letting them stew wouldn't lead to a solution. However, he fully empathized with his office's concerns, adding to Akira Sakura's frustration that he couldn't do more.
Raiwo, the army minister makes a valid point. Can you discern between a person and a Yohma?
Tensei posed the question, seeking a way to distinguish friend from foe. The hall fell silent again, awaiting Velgrin's response.
Oh, there couldn't be any of them in this room. If there were, I would have informed you long ago.
Everyone immediately relaxed.
Yes, that's true.
Tensei found the idea reasonable as well. If a Yohma of the Tenyo class could effortlessly take on a human guise, their situation would be dire. Currently, there was still a glimmer of hope, he thought. However, Velgrin had more to reveal.
Dear me. So, you mean to say you can't discern your allies from your adversaries? The Yohma, personally, I refer to them as phantoms, don't assume human forms. Instead, they inhabit them as a necessity for survival in this realm. Upon fully integrating with their host, they metamorphose into something that no sane individual would recognize as human.
As long as the assimilation wasn't complete, the protective barrier enveloping the imperial capital would expose them. Despite their human appearance, they concealed an entirely different essence. In this unstable state, as Velgrind clarified to the assembly, they refrained from mingling with humans until achieving more stability.
Moreover, the primates among the phantoms, the lowest echelons, possess intelligence but lack free will. They are mere underlings, capable of nothing beyond following orders, and even a minor interrogation would swiftly unveil them.
A phantom could access the memories of its host, but only those located on the outer layers of the brain. When questioned about deeper aspects, they'd remain clueless and vulnerable. Velgrind's explanation instilled a sense of security in everyone present at the meeting hall. Yet, she wasn't finished. The serious, grave ambiance of the meeting concluded here. Now, Velgrind took center stage at the event.
I assume none of you are acquainted with this information, so I'll enlighten you. The phantoms adhere to a distinct hierarchy or ranking system. The primates I mentioned represent the lowest tier. Even after assimilation, the resulting entity is a level weaker than the typical Yohma. At most, none of them surpass a high yokai on your scale, to put it in your terms.
Despite making it sound straightforward, a high yokai typically warranted a specialized task force for resolution. Velgrind, however, appeared entirely indifferent.
But Ruo, if one of these Sokela deprivates completes an assimilation, could they ascend to the Tenyo class?
Well, you're quite perceptive.
Velgrind remarked to the army minister.
You hit the nail on the head.
The minister wasn't taken aback by Velgrind's teasing. If the lowest-ranking troops of the enemy could transform into a Tenyo-class threat, the situation seemed utterly hopeless. Velgrind's apparent indifference compared to Gensei was almost disheartening, and no one in the assembly found it amusing. The collective sentiment resonated with a shared sense of melancholy.
Why the astonishment? Even Gensei there can handle opponents at that level. The leaders directing these privates might pose a greater challenge, but they wouldn't be insurmountable for him.
These leaders, occupying a higher echelon among the lower-grade phantoms, would merit an A rank in alternative realms. Yet, until their corporeal assimilation was complete, their unleashed power barely surpassed a B rank. Once the process concluded, transforming them into a Kiryu-class entity, combating them would be formidable. Formidable, indeed, but Velgrind believed Gensei could prevail.
I appreciate the compliment, but Kondu was defeated by two of them simultaneously. I wouldn't fare any better.
You really should abandon this timidity. Kondu clung to his convictions till the very end.
In that moment, Gensei realized how feeble he appeared, and how narrow-minded. A discernible warmth emanated from the sword at his side, stirring him and reinstating his confidence.
Yeah, you're correct. Excessive timidity can result in forfeiting battles that could have been won.
Indeed, it can. Not that we'd succumb if you fell into that trap. Not while I'm around.
Velgrind promptly dismissed Gensei's newfound resolve. Now, the Imperial Conference took a notably different trajectory.
So, phantoms gain strength with higher levels, but excessive energy makes it challenging for them to materialize in this world. It's probable that the most formidable ones present are the generals, the lower echelons of the high classes. And that implies we—
Wait! Hold on a minute.
What's the issue?
Velgrind inquired, annoyed by the interruption. Had Akira Sakura not been present directly in front of her, she likely wouldn't have tolerated this affront.
When you speak of ranks among these phantoms, should we interpret them to have the same connotation as our military ranks?
I apologize. Are you questioning my linguistic proficiency?
No, I didn't mean it that way. I was just thinking, are there, other high-ranking officers between the commanders and generals?
This question came from the naval minister, and the others shared the curiosity. The countless individuals whom Velgrind dismissed as unworthy of her attention posed a lethal threat to the world's inhabitants.
If Gensei struggles against a commander, would that put them at the Kiryu level?
That sounds plausible. I think those were the ones who defeated Kondu.
So, how formidable would their generals be?
A high-level Kiryu might ascend to the Shinbutsu class, a level of divinity impossible for any mortal to conquer. If they were facing adversaries of such caliber, all resistance seemed futile. The faces of everyone paled as the reality sank in.
Is it possible that Kondu fell to Thesa generals? Perhaps.
Maybe, but it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant anyway.
The specifics of who lost to whom weren't a priority for Velgrind. What mattered was that their side had suffered defeat.
Oh, by the way, I just recalled something else. Phantoms can only enter this world in two ways. Either they come through an underworld gate, or they're summoned by a higher class of phantom. I doubt there are any gates in the sea, so I think we're dealing with summons here. I think one general could probably summon around 10,000 of them.
Velgrind presented the information casually, but to the audience, it was devastating. They all fell silent, just staring at her, because they felt helpless.
But do you think you can, defeat them, Ruo?
The naval minister inquired. It was the last hope for them all. He almost wanted to laugh, understanding how absurd the question was. A single general had the potential to wipe out humanity, and if it had an entire army at its command, there was little that could be done. Regardless of how powerful this woman claiming to be Ryuo was, she couldn't confront an entire army alone.
Because we're grappling with a divine force with powers beyond our imagination, right? The notion of men triumphing over God is something reserved for mythology.
All we can do is hope the world isn't destroyed, can't we?
The chief commander and the ministers shared the same sentiment. Velgrind simply snorted at them.
You folks are quite the amusing bunch, huh? The sole phantom who might pose a challenge for me, and that's a big might, is Feldway, their king. Not that I'd enter any contest expecting to lose, and I doubt he could even show up here.
Why did she possess knowledge about the enemy's king? The queries continued incessantly, yet no one dared to raise the issue. Considering what they knew about this woman, nothing appeared peculiar anymore. However, there was a crucial matter they needed to address.
I certainly wouldn't question your strength, Ruo. That's why I wanted to inquire.
Finally, the Commissioner of Education, who had maintained silence throughout the conference, found the courage to speak. He was one of the 3 chief directors of the army, often playing a mediating role when meetings like this unraveled. Velgrind turned her gaze toward him.
What is it?
Our nation is teetering on the brink of complete collapse. I was wondering if you would, step up to face this adversary.
No. I've only got one body, you know.
That was a falsehood. With her parallel existence skill, she could effortlessly shield the Emperor while confronting his enemies, but there was no need to disclose that to anyone. As a court guardian, her duty was to protect the Emperor. She had assumed that role to gauge the response to her presence.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Havox, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Adrian, Kumo, Sanketh Chelu, Foolish Prophets, Ethan Madison, Sky T, Diego Ginoza, Andre Hamilton, Jason Torres, Sesh. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.